Hey everybody, and welcome back. Today, I'd like to talk stone. More precisely, how you can paint it and have it look realistic, but in a simple step-by-step method. So, here we have our stone wall background from the Mobius Models release, The Bride of Frankenstein. Been working on this kit lately. The wall is done, the rest of the kit is not. And this is what I'm going to show you how I did today. Now for that build, I wanted the wall to look like it's in a dark, old, and dank castle. So to start, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the whole wall in flat black primer, right out of the bag, after you wash it with soap and water, of course. Now wait until that dries completely, and then put a single thin layer of light gray paint over the whole thing. Don't be concerned if some of the black is showing through. That's actually kind of helping, and we want that. After that's dry, we'll need 2 or 3 more colors of earth tones. Browns, tans, even red browns. We'll need a darker gray as well. I use medium gray myself here to have a darker shade of gray stone. Now make sure you leave about 40% of your original stone color in there. We're just looking for undertone here in the end product. Now I know it looks stark and like something out of a bad cartoon, but it's in the next few steps where the magic's actually going to happen. Now having said that, once that last step is dry, I like to give it a coat of matte clear and then let that dry completely overnight. Just to make a note here, I am using Tamiya acrylics to paint with, and I am sealing with Rust-Oleum gloss or matte clear enamel, depending on the next step or the desired effect, if you will. This way my next layer of paint can't solve the clear coat, which would then cause the paints to mix, which we don't want. Okay. Now moving forward, when all that is dry, our clear coat overnight, our next step is to brush a dry brush, a light tan over the whole thing. Now don't worry about the mortar joints in between the stones. Our final steps will easily restore or take care of those, okay? And you can dry brush that tan quite vigorously. Just keep it out of the low spots. Now after this, you could again use it to clear coat if you wished, but I went to the next step without it and I didn't notice any serious issues at all. And that next step being a dry brushing of light gray over the whole thing again. But this layer should be done, I must note, very, very lightly and with very little paint. Now, as you can see by the side-by-side here, there's not a great deal of change between these last 2 steps, but it certainly does tie more of the stones together regardless of their background color. Now, we need to use a light coat of gloss clear over the whole thing here. This is highly recommended, and it will allow our next steps to work actually properly. So here is where it starts to come alive, so to speak. What we want to do next is use a burnt umber or red brown or maybe even a rust wash, and we need to let that dry some and remove the excess afterwards. This is the main reason you need to clear coat before this step. If you don't, then you essentially just use a filter, not a wash. Now here, as you can see, it really does start to tie all the stone together. Okay, so we'll let that dry completely, and yet again we can use a light spray of gloss clear, and I mean light. We don't want to build too many layers of paint, as we'll lose detail and the paint itself will start to look thick and, well, it won't look right. Okay, now after that wash is dry, we'll apply a black wash over the whole piece. Now apply that black wash fairly liberally, and again wait for it to set some, and then remove the excess wash. Okay, I have to mention here though that if you are looking for a dark wall like I was, you can of course use a very dark wash for the final wash layer. In this case I did use straight black. But a darker gray or light gray wash could be used for a less dirty wall, or a wall that, should we say, is not as exposed to the elements or sooted up with spots of mildew. It all depends on what you're going for, and practice with your own hand as to just the look you're looking for. Now, as I just did mention, if you'd like to add more detail to the stones, a green wash can be applied and used in places on the wall that you figure some mold or mildew may exist or gather. Now, take it easy when you're doing this, because it's a lot more easy to add more of it than it is to remove it when you go overboard. Also, If you have ledges, pieces of stone that stick out from the wall, you can dry brush and blend up to down, very slight and very lightly applied off-white to the very edge to simulate light casting on it. But be very careful. Too much and you'll make too stark a difference and you'll lose some of the realism. All right, so our work on the wall is almost done. Just a couple of light sprays of matte clear coat and it'll end up looking like this and be done. So I hope this helps someone out a bit. You know, if not, it might just be a different way than you're used to doing it. But it is different than using just blacks and grays for stone, and it will help you get a more realistic and varied stone look. If you like the video, please go down and hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe as well while you're down there. And check out the other videos on the channel. I'm sure something out there will pique your interest. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. Thanks for stopping by. I'm Jay. Don't forget to challenge yourself.